He is a two-time NHRA Funny Car World Champion. He is the owner and driver of the Snap-on Tools Nitro Funny Car. The Auto Club NHRA Finals are November 14th through the 17th in Pomona, California. He is the fastest man in the jungle. He is in studio. He is Cruz Pedregon. Cruz, what's going on? How are you?
What is up, man? Good, great to be here. Appreciate you giving us the time.
Oh, it's good to have you back, Cruz. Let me first ask you, the Raiders have won 2 straight. They're one back in the win column in the division. You've got the NHRA Finals in Pomona. How is life for you right now?
Life is good. You know, the fact that everybody was killing the Raiders after Coach Gruden came back and took the team over and trading some good players. But I think I even called up to your show one time, Roman, and I was like, you know what? I just feel like you need to let this guy do his thing.
You did, man.
And and hey, is it perfect? No. I've always said if they're 9-7, 500, 8-8 at the end of the year, that's going to be a victory because they're building. And a lot like drag racing, it's about people. In fact, I've suffered from not having the best people. Now we're turning the corner, but you have to, just like Craig's, in fact, a tough act to follow. Your previous guest, Craig Smith, what a great guy. But like he said it best, I said it a few times. It's about the people you surround yourself with, and I believe that Coach Gruden is doing that. And some of the moves he's made have not been popular, but they're on their way.
Agreed. I didn't see it happening, and I talked to Bill Romanowski on our podcast this week, Cruz, and I said, look, man, especially after Antonio Brown, I did not see them having a good year at all, but they're right in the hunt. They're 5-4. They got a couple of games that are winnable, and if all of a sudden they've got 7 wins and they're dealing with Kansas City, who knows what happens. Cruz, for those who have not been out to Pomona Raceway for the NHRA Finals, what is that experience like?
Well, you need to check us out. This is our last race. 24 of 24 races ends this weekend, Friday through Sunday. We're about horsepower, Jim. We're the ultimate in speed and power. There's no car or jet that accelerates faster than one of our cars, 0 to 100 in like half a second, and they go 330 miles an hour in a little less than a quarter mile. So think about that. Like one block, out here on one of your streets, just one block to the next light is a quarter mile. So they accelerate like no other. They go faster every year. People ask me all the time, what does it feel like? And I tell them, our bodies, we're all equipped with the same computers. We never get used to the speed. I only know what to expect, which calms my nerves a little bit. But every time I get in the car, I make a run down the track, Jim. It's like the first time. I feel the acceleration. I'm a little nervous. The fumes from the nitro, makes my eyes water, a lot like horseradish, does with. So it's something you never get used to. But let me tell you, the adrenaline rush I get from it still to this day. I've been driving them 30 years now, Jim. It's amazing. That's why we want to get you out at the track. Drag racing is a little bit like hockey. It's maybe not the best on television, I've heard, but when you go there, it's like no other. People always say, man, I didn't expect this. This is really cool, which brings me to our guest tomorrow. BIC's coming out, supposedly, and he's all talking about wanting to drive my car, but
are you gonna let him? I mean, you already put his name on your car.
Oh, yeah,
are you gonna let him drive the car?
We did. You know what? And congrats to BIC winning. Was it 5 Smackoffs now, Jim? 2 in a row?
Yes.
Yeah. But I do have to, if I can segue really quick to the Smackoff. Every year, I think, Rick and Buffalo, here's the deal. Delivery matters and material matters. And if you can get both of those at the same time, obviously that's what's going to win. But I feel like Rick and Buffalo's material is pretty good. But to me, his delivery, I like that energy and that.
It's a show, man. It's a show.
And I like how he ends the show. I'm out. He kind of does. Everything's dramatic, but hey, I got to give it to BIC. I'm looking forward to meeting him tomorrow. But hey, man, he brings the material. I heard his call yesterday. Was it Matt? He was getting back at Matt. One of the callers, I think it was Matt from somewhere, and you kind of warned him, hey man, you may not want to go after that guy. He definitely hits on all 8 cylinders and he has good takes, so good for him.
Cruz Pedregon breaking down the Smackoff field. Very, very well done. So Cruz, what about this season? For those who have not seen, how has this season gone for you?
Well, Jim, we not very well. In football terms, I would say 7-9 season. We missed the playoffs, but like your guest earlier, Utah basketball coach said, it's about the people. And as the owner, I haven't done a very good job at bringing all the pieces. It's much like a football team. You can have a great quarterback and a great coach or a great coordinator, but you have to have all the people. And the people, make you look good. And so I feel like we're on our way. We've added some pieces late in the season, some late season team members, and I feel like I'm on the brink of hiring another guy that I think would put us over the top. So really, Jim, it's about the race car. They go fast, they make a lot of noise, but really there's a strategy involved. Even though we're only racing short period of time on the track, there is a strategy, and there's some guys out there that do it very well. So congrats to the guys that are in the hunt. The Funny Car Championship's up for grabs between Robert Height, Matt Hagan, and Jack Beckman. So the NHRA is going to have a great final event, and we're hoping we can spoil those guys and get the Snap-on Dodge in the winner's circle. But I'm looking forward to it. It's my home. Grew up in Chino, so it's kind of like it's a home game for me.
We're talking to Cruz Pedregon. You've got the finals coming up this weekend in Pomona. Cruz, I saw a few days back somebody dropped off some photos of your dad that you had never seen before. Now, you and I have talked about your dad, Frank. He was a legendary driver.
Right.
He passed away when you were just 17. What was it like to see those photos that you had never seen before?
Well, just to put it in perspective, through the years, I get a lot of photos and people coming up and they'll show me photos and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I want to act excited because they genuinely want to provide some cool photos of my dad. We were really, really little kids when my dad raced, so we didn't really follow. We didn't know a lot was going on. But the fact that this gentleman in Vegas brought photos I'd never seen before, really, Jim, it brought me to tears because it was a picture of not only the race car my dad drove, but it was a picture of my dad up close, and he had his long hair with his hat on, Pennzoil hat. So it really teared me up a little bit, and I called the guy and thanked him. And it's just when you think you've seen all the photos, back in the day. Right now, with all the stuff we have going with social media, everybody's face is plastered all over. But back in the day, like all sports, there wasn't a lot of really good pictures of these athletes. In this case, my dad. So it really meant a lot to me, and it just goes to show that there's a lot of old time racers that are still out there rooting us on.
Cruz Pedregon joining us. Great story. Cruz, you're a huge sports fan, obviously. Back in September, Larry Holmes, who was one of my favorites. He used to come on the show all the time, even when he was champ. He came to visit you at Maple Grove Raceway. Is a huge boxing fan, is a huge fan of Larry Holmes, even if Hawk never heard of him when he called. It's all right, Adam. What was it like to spend time with Larry Holmes? What's he like?
Jim, it was unbelievable. In fact, you want to talk about, I started thinking when Caleb, my team manager, said, hey, man, we get Larry Holmes out to the track. I'm like, yeah, right, okay. When I saw Larry, I about cried. I'm going to sound like a baby here, Jim, but it was so emotional for me because I remember all those fights, the Mike Weaver fights, the Ken Norton fights. I like yourself, followed the sport. We're all Muhammad Ali fans, and I started paying attention to around the early 80s when Larry was right in the middle of his heavyweight run, like 78.
7 years.
Beat Ken Norton for the title, and so I was right in the middle of that, and I always liked Larry because he never really got that. He was like after Muhammad Ali, so everybody felt like he's trying to be a Muhammad Ali.
100%.
And so I always felt like he was undefeated. I remember Don King used to always, 35-0, Larry Holmes, 35, and I remember Howard Cosell. I even told Larry, I was like, oh, hey, you remember when Howard Cosell interrupted Don King so he can let you, because he wasn't letting you talk. So, but to meet Larry there, Jim, he just had a birthday, 70 years old. He looked really good for his age. Obviously, the career he had, getting hit in the head like he has, and all the the downside that comes with that. But he looked great. He's a big man. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he is.
He kind of jokes around. He's kind of throwing his jab out there a little bit. But what an honor to have him out there, a great sport icon like that, to come to our event. I really appreciated him being there, and it really meant a lot.
No, I'm glad that he came out, and you're right. He didn't get the respect that he deserved because he followed Muhammad Ali. I mean, the guy was the heavyweight champion of the world for like 7 years. He had that amazing jab. He had that great personality, and I loved him. I loved talking to him back then. So, Cruz, you got a big weekend coming up. You're back home. Have the clones been hitting you up now that you're in Pomona? What's it been like this week?
Oh, yeah, it's been great. Jimmy, every time I come on your show, we get lots of love throughout the country, and we travel, I don't know how many states. We're all over the place, but clones are alive and well in all the different states. So yeah, this time it's a homecoming for us, and really for us is a little less pressure because it's the last race of the year. But we really want to do well. Man, it sucks getting beat first round like we have been, but I always say this, Jim: the champions rise. I've been a champion before. I know what it feels like. I feel like Snap-on and Mopar, everybody's sticking behind me. They leave me alone. They let me do my thing. They know that we'll rise again. And so, but yeah, it'll be great to have the clones out there rooting us on. And I'm really looking forward to BIC coming out there, because at first we talked about that. Remember, he took a shot at me. Oh man,
pull that out, Alvin, to see if you have that.
3 seconds. What can you know? So, but to have him out here, for me, he's a celebrity to me, Jim, and it's a great honor. It's great that you do this. In fact, I heard you say that might be the last one a couple times.
The
Smackoff.
Sometimes, man.
Come on,
you want better to leave them wanting a little more. Like, you don't want to be the athlete, Cruz, that stays around too long. So sometimes I think about that. I'm not messing with people. I'm not jerking with anybody. Sometimes it seems to me if we walk out on something amazing, that might be best, but then it's so good. And how do you not bring it back?
It's so good. And you do it once a year, Jim. You do it in the middle of the year. And I look forward to it. It's gaining momentum. So just hang in there with us another 15 or 20 years, Jim, on that with the Smackoff.
I'll do that, Cruz. Listen, one last thought about something technical. You recently talked about dealing with some mechanical issues in the piston department. What kind of an impact can that have on your performance?
Well, the parts are not created equal. You put these engines together, and if they don't work properly, you really need to look at them. And the pistons are in the line of fire. They're the ones that are taking all the compression and all the fuel. So we had a piston that we felt didn't suit our particular setup. Not to say there's anything wrong with the piston or that company, but it just happened to be something that plagued us throughout the summer. And we didn't really figure it out until like a month ago. So the car's running good now. I want everybody to know that, hey, our Snap-on car's ready to win. We're fired up. We did run 329 miles an hour. Our first, we're knocking on the door at 330 the other day in Dallas. So we feel like we figured that out, but it's something that it was kind of like it's kind of one of those things where there's no easy fix, because we start doing things. Well, maybe it's the fuel system. Well, maybe it's this. So by the time we figured it out, 10, 11 races had gone by. So, so that's kind of been the season. But hey, no excuses. There's some good cars out there. We've had some good ups and downs, but I feel like we brought some good people in. We're going to get better, and we'll be ready for Pomona 2020.
All right. So Auto Club NHRA Finals, November 14th through the 17th, right here in Pomona. The fastest man in the jungle. Cruz, put those on real quick. You mentioned that you and Brad have kind of gone up and down a little bit. The BIC, I can tell how much respect you have for him. When you said that you guys have kind of gone up and down a little bit, you were talking about this. This is what Brad said when you offered to put his name on your car if you won the Smackoff.
Hey, shout out to Cruz Pedregon for volunteering to put the Smackoff winner's name on his race car for one race. Cruz, I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth here, but dude, this ain't the Indy 500, man. You race NHRA drag cars that last for like 5 seconds. The only thing quicker than that with less publicity would be if Vic in NoCal volunteers to shout out the winner's name the next time he has sex. Brad and Corona!
This guy, why would you want to see this guy in Pomona? The BIC, there's nobody like him. Is he amazing, right?
No, it was good. And we actually put it on there
Brad,
anyway.
Brad and Corona!
Yeah. Poor Vic. But no, we honored our deal. We put him on there.
It was great too.
And it kind of grew some legs, and we followed each other on social. So no, and for Brad to come out here to really see what it's like, I want to know what he truly feels about NHRA drag racing after he attends our event. Good, bad, or indifferent. I want to hear it, Brad.
He will tell you. All right. He is the owner and the driver of the Snap-on Tools Nitro Funny Car, a 2-time NHRA Funny Car World Champion. Of course, the fastest man in the jungle. He is at heart a clone. Cruz Pedregon. Cruz, have an amazing weekend. Good luck. I know you represent well, and it's good to have you back on the show.
Hey, Jim, and congrats on your Hall of Fame. Appreciate
Thank you, Cruz. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Cruz Pedregon doing what he does in studio. All right, let's break. We will come back. I've got an open segment, top of the hour. Daniel Jeremiah is going to join us as well. Phone lines are open. Brad and Corona.
Brad and Corona!
BIC. Time now for a sports update. Here it is. Rich Ackerman's got this one. That was fun, man. That was good.